Hello there, wonderful humans, and welcome to Board Game Dads, the podcast, episode 1. My name is Anthony,
And my name is Eric.
and we're the Board Game Dads. We have a YouTube video channel, which this video will be on there as well, but we're changing formats slightly to appeal to a wider audience. At least that's the plan, anyway. So, Eric, can you give the viewers a very brief description of how we came up with this new format?
Sure. So basically, we've been doing a lot of videos for holidays and what kind of board games to play for them. And we've been running out of holidays. So lack of content has sort of forced us to take all those videos and kind of just talk about them in one. So now
Yeah.
when we do our monthly podcast, we're going to have a large selection, a large chunk of that specifically for holidays and stuff. And then we're going to talk about some games that are hot. And then, we're going to talk about our last 3 games played.
That's right. We're going to kick off every episode with the last three games that Eric and I both played. If you are new to this, well, you might be if this is the first podcast of ours you're listening to, which is the first one. A really brief background. Eric and I are best friends. We've been friends for over 35 years now.
We've been friends since kindergarten.
Yeah, suffice to say. And basically, we have a lot of board gaming interest in common. We also each have 2 children. So we're exploring our journey through parenthood in the realm of board gaming as well. So that's the general theme of this.
Right.
All right. So might as well get into it here with the last 3. I'll kick us off.
All right. Oh, before we get into the last 3,
Ooh.
I would just like to throw out there that in a couple of seconds, our videos are going to look different. My shirt's going to change. It's going to be nighttime. We had to re-record this intro due to technical difficulties, and so like magic, everything's going to change slightly.
Slightly, yeah. I think I'll look pretty much the same.
Yeah, I won't.
We're going to talk about the last 3 games that we have each played. And I'm going to start us off here with a game that's been getting a lot of table time in our household these days. And that is our first ever Legacy game, Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I'm playing this now with my wife and our neighbor friend who has all of her gaming experiences pretty much come from us. And we have, noticed that cooperative games are definitely what she likes the best. And when I got this as a gift, I thought it was the perfect thing for us to try together, and we are absolutely loving it. This is a really cool experience. Obviously, there's spoilers here, and I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone listening or watching, but I will say that it is definitely worth the investment. If you're going to get this game played regularly, it's a ton of fun. It's going to give you a reason to play. We try to play every week to get it through, and it's a game that, you do need to get to the table. Can't let it sit for like months and months and then try to go back to it. It really pays to try to play this pretty regularly. And Eric, you have played through this whole game.
Yeah, so we've played through Pandemic Legacy Season 1, and we've played through part of Season 2. But Season 2 is fun. It wasn't as interesting, and it made for us to kind of stop and then not force ourselves to start. And now it's like, oh, do you want to play Pandemic Legacy? It's a hassle, right? Because there's all these new rules. Every time you play the game, you got a new rule. The next time you have to remember it. It's just, we'll get it done sooner or later. But like you said, a game like that, you have to get to the table regularly.
Yeah.
And as it happens, my wife and I are currently in the middle of a board game challenge.
Oh.
So I'm just gonna pause the last 3 for a second. So you guys, Batista, you and your wife, you did a 10 by 10 game challenge last year where you chose 10 games that you had to play 10 times throughout the year. And we didn't do a challenge. And we saw a lot of posts on Instagram about it. You kept on talking about it. And we got a little jealous. Maybe jealous isn't the word, but we felt like we were missing out on something. So we decided we were going to do a challenge this year. We didn't want to pick 10 games to play 10 times. So we thought about doing a 20 game by 5 time challenge. Mm-hmm. And then we just ended up picking a 100 game challenge. We're going to try and play 100 different board games. And we are cruising through real well right now. We're at about 40 and we're only in April. So
yeah, you're
we're
ahead
doing
of pace.
real well on that front.
And just to clarify, these don't have to be new to you games, just unique plays throughout the year.
Right. But a game like, Pandemic Legacy, we're not going to play that just once, just to put it on and then not play it again until, so this one's going to probably wait a little bit longer.
Right, right, right.
But the most recent game that we did play is a game called Rolling America, which
Ooh.
came out in 2015, was designed by Hisashi Hayashi, who I believe also designed Metro X. And this is a roll and write game. We got it. I think we got it at Five Below for, I don't know, $5 or below, and we picked it up. We played it, and it was fun. It was kind of difficult for a first play, at least, because you have these sections that you have to put numbers in there, and every single number has to be next to a number that's either the same or only one higher. And a lot of these numbers are connected to like multiple different areas, and it's really different. And if you have like your, say your orange zone, and you put a one somewhere, and then the next time you get an orange number to write down, it's a six. That number is not going anywhere near that one, and
Mhm.
you're never going to be able to connect them. And it was really difficult for a first playthrough to be like, how am I supposed to approach this?
Well,
But it was fun.
I got news for you. It doesn't get any easier.
For you know what, for $5, this is a great game that, and I'm not trying to dump on the game, but it's a great game to bring places where I don't care if I spill some beer on the table,
Yep.
or we're playing outside going camping or something. I don't mind if something happens to this. It's just, some dice, a little bag, which is cool, kind of small though, and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So definitely a great travel game. If you're going somewhere where you're concerned that like your pieces might get dirty or get blown away in the wind, don't bring Everdell. Like
Yeah.
bring a tiny little game that if something happens to it, really, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, no,
This
I
is
totally agree, and Lauren and I have brought this multiple places to play in public.
nice.
It's perfect for that. But yeah, it is an unforgiving roll and write. It is really, really tough, and it's
Yeah.
basically who's gonna do just a little bit less crappy than the other person is gonna be the winner of this game. Um,
After one play, I can tell you this is not going to be on my top 10 rolling rice. This is not going to be, oh, this was my number 11. Nope, not in the conversation.
All right. But speaking of top 10 roll and rights, we haven't done that list, but
Not
this
yet.
next one is going to be on there for sure for me. And that is Fleet the Dice game. One of my
Nice.
all-time favorites at this point. This is a Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle, who've also done Three Sisters and the upcoming Motor
Motor
City
City.
game that is on Kickstarter. Where the Kickstarter might be done by now. But yeah, these are what they're calling the loaded roll and write series. They are much, much bigger, much more in depth than something like Rolling America or Quicks or something like that. Two really big sheets of paper here with multiple things going on. You're going to be rolling a bunch of dice, and then you'll choose one, and the next person will choose one, and so on. And then the one that's left, everybody shares. So you're going to be marking off these things on your sheets, different fish, trying to get fishing licenses and launching different boats to catch more fish. And then there's a wharf where you can build some buildings. There's a harbor where you can do your own private fishing trip and get these other kind of boats and stuff. Just so much going on here. A lot of sweet, sweet combos, and it's as much of a roll and write as it is an engine building game at that point because you get a lot of cool things that kind of work off of each other in this one.
I agree. I do. I do. I really like this game. Just going to go out on a limb here and say that the last time you played this game was when we played it with you guys on Zoom.
That
So this
is
is
correct.
this is easily, like a great game that you can play over Zoom. Somebody owns a
Yeah.
game, somebody else owns a printer. Done.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a good one. This is not the roll and write that you're going to bring out because you got 8 people and some of them haven't really played games. And you're like, oh, roll and writes are easy. This is not that roll and write.
No, 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 definitely not. I don't think you would take your next game out to a public place either.
Sorry, the cat's got to come in here and play with toys right when I'm recording.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, he does. All right. So my next game played is I forget which one in the order. Oh, Cottage Garden, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we played Cottage Garden. This was actually last night that we played it. We played it with the Easter Bunny expansion,
Oh.
which makes this game cooperative. We're going to talk about that a little bit later when we go through some of the holidays, because obviously can't talk about holidays in April and not bring up Easter. But anyway, this Cottage Garden, it's a Uwe Rosenberg game. It's about 1 hour long, plays 1 to 4, and it's your typical polyomino tile placement game.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
this was one of the trilogy. This happens to be my favorite of the three. Of the three, this is the one which the polyomino tiles do not have a hole somewhere in them that you have to place on the table somewhere and then put another tile with that hole touching right next to that in order to get point. That is in Spring Meadow, and that is in the other one,
Um,
Indian Summer.
yeah.
Not a big fan of that particular mechanism, but this one's
Mm.
great. It's got flowers. It's got little kitties, kittens or cats, whatever, and it's cute. It's a fun game,
Yeah.
and it plays cooperative now, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. That's my
Sure will.
second most recent played game, and your third.
All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here with surprisingly another polyomino game, one that we have definitely talked about. Did a Kickstarter video about this one, and that's Isle of Cats.
Mhm.
Really enjoying the expansions to this and what it adds to the game. We even got the explore and draw played with you guys over Zoom, so that worked out well too. Isle of Cats, a lot of like decisions going on. Like you're trying to fill up your whole boat with the cat shaped pieces. You're not going to.
You're
We talked
never
about
going to.
we talked about how brutal Rolling America is. This game is punishing as well. You're going to get a lot of negative points at the end of the game, so you really, really want to maximize positive points through these, public lessons, private lessons, bonuses here and there. Just covering up as much stuff as you can, and it looks really cool on the table when it's finished. And one of the new expansions has all those different shaped boats, which adds a little more flair to it too. Love the artwork on this, and great, great components. The Isle of Cats. What you got?
I love cats, but cats have nothing to do with my next game. The next game is a game called Canopy, which could have been in a Kickstarter Day video we did a couple months ago, but we hadn't
Mm.
gotten it played and we didn't talk about it. So we finally got it played. It's a Tim Eisner game, and just going to say this. I know this is a podcast. Some people. It's got beautiful artwork. The artwork is by Vincent Dutray. I usually don't
Oh,
talk about the artist, but when you got a name like Vincent Dutray attached to your game, you might as well mention it. Anyway,
it's two
this is
player only, right?
no, this is 1 to 4.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a slightly different game modification for 3 to 4 players.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I didn't read the rule book. My wife did, so do not quote me on that because it's probably incorrect.
Sounds good.
We only played the 2 player version, but this is a let's see. Um, BGG had it as open drafting and push your luck and some set collection. So there's
Hmm.
definitely set collection. What this game does, and I have only seen this in one other game, which is called Sea of Clouds. There's
Mm.
going to be 3 different groups of cards out. There's going to be at start of the game is 1, 2, and 3 cards. So you can look at the first group, which has the 1, and you can either take the card or you can put it back, draw another card, put it on top of it that you can't see, and then look at the next stack of 2 cards. And you can decide you can either take these 2 cards or put them back face down, draw a third card, put it on there, and then look at the final pile.
Hmm.
So you're looking at everything, but every time you pass on a pile, you're adding a card so that the next person who looks at that pile might have a better option or a great option. And so that's pretty much the meat of the game is you're doing that, and then you're collecting these cards for set collection. And then
Hmm.
you do that for like 3 different rounds, add up all your points.
So in Sea of Clouds, when you get to three in a pile, if somebody still passes, you start putting money on it. Do you add something to the piles in this game?
No, so if you pass, then you just get 1 card from the deck.
Okay. You
So
just
like if you're
draw blind draw from the deck.
right,
Okay.
and so it happens sometimes. There's like 5 cards, and you're like, of course I'm going to take that. You look at them. There's like fire and disease, and you're like, ooh, and I don't know, just take a regular card. But by the end of the game, all the cards are going to be taken. So
Gotcha.
somebody's going to get that. And in one of the rounds, it was like there was 3 stacks of cards out, and Melissa looked at the first card. Like we both knew that there was like a bunch of fire or disease or something, and she was like, "Oh man, somebody's going to get stuck with that one." And she was right. And then I got stuck with that, and that's just going to happen. So yeah,
That will
but it
happen.
was it was it was fun. It had cute artwork. It felt to me upon just one play that there was something missing. There could have been a little bit more, but it does come with like an advanced version and like maybe like even a mini expansion or something.
Okay.
So we haven't gotten that to the table yet. So maybe that is what I'm looking for. We'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, I
Right.
actually own this game, but I have not played it yet. So when I do, maybe
Nice.
we can talk about it a little more and do some comparisons.
All right.
All
Now, did
right.
you also get the puzzle? Because Melissa backed this, and she backed like the actual like puzzle.
No, I didn't. I didn't back this. I got it
Oh, okay.
afterwards. Yeah, yeah. All right. So that's our last three games played. We're moving on to the meat and potatoes here.
It's
What we all
holiday
love,
time.
holiday time. So this month happens to have several holidays, and one of them starts on the very first day of the month. Although this isn't one that I'm not a huge fan of overall. So what do
I
we?
used to be.
When we were younger, right?
Right.
Right.
Uh,
And
April Fool's
it's
Day.
it's a kids' holiday. I mean, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
it's a day to play harmless pranks on people. You don't want to go around and play a bunch of pranks on a bunch of people and then everybody gets mad at you. And you don't want to play like a really bad prank on somebody who you love. But every year around Thanksgiving, around April Fools, I always consider doing this one prank to my wife, and she knows it. And she so now like every year, like she double checks to make sure that I didn't do this. But she goes to work and she brings hard boiled eggs sometimes, and I keep like threatening that I'm going to replace one with a regular egg. When she goes to like crack it, she's going to get egg everywhere. So there's been a couple of times where it's like April Fool's Day, and she goes to work and she's like not sure, so she won't eat the egg.
That's awesome.
So am I going to do it? I don't know, but my wife is watching, so
There you go.
probably.
You're living in her head rent free with that one. Good job.
But as
I've
far as board games for the holiday, I couldn't think of anything. Maybe like if you really wanted like a bluffing game, it's not
yeah,
really a practical joke, but that was really all I could come up with.
yeah, that's fair. I did not really a prank, but similar to your thing with the egg, actually, but opposite. I've given Lauren when she's asked for an egg, a raw egg for like baking. I've given her a hard boiled egg instead. I watched her like crack it on the bowl, like nothing happens. So that's really harmless because then you can still just eat the egg. It didn't like ruin anything.
Here is a harmless prank that is fun, and you don't want to do it too often, especially if you're a kid and you're watching. But if you take like a little rubber band and you put it around, if you have one of those like kind of like hoses in your sink, and you just kind of like put it around there so that the nozzle is being held, and then when somebody goes and turns on the sink, it just sprays them instead of coming down the faucet. That's a cute one. I think I did that to either my wife or my mother or somebody when I was living somewhere at some point in my life.
Nice.
Yeah, whoever it was didn't like it, but it's just water.
There is a lot of board game related April Fools thing. I mean, mostly on social media these days, but a company will post something like, "Oh, here's a new game coming out," and it's like, okay, is it really
Yeah.
that? But then a lot of times those things end up being actually made, and it's like, okay, it was a joke, but you guys made it, so good for
Yeah.
you. Um, this past April Fools, I remember seeing a post from I think it was like a Quicks cereal from Game Right, which just all X's.
Nice.
And then well, they announced the Spider Ham expansion for Marvel Champions, but it ended up being legit, right? They're really making that, so it was kind of cool.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that was the thing. All right, what's next?
What's next? Next is April 7th is National Beer Day, or I guess technically
Ooh,
was National Beer Day. And so I think it was like a Wednesday or something last week, and I did not do anything to celebrate National Beer Day. However, if it was on a weekend and we decided we wanted to play a game and have a couple of beers, the game that we would choose to play is the Taverns of Tiefenthal, which I got for Christmas, maybe my birthday actually. I think it was my birthday because we had it for a while and didn't get a chance to play it because there was, two children in our life.
Yeah, that
But we
won't happen.
did recently get a chance to play it, and we liked it. You're serving patrons at the bar, and it's like a worker placement or resource management, and it's just a very, I don't want to say simple game, but like if you played this kind of game, you can pretty much understand what you're doing.
Okay.
But it's about being at a bar and giving people beer and earning points.
But you found it easy to pick up, like it was easy to learn.
It was, however, it did. I believe, and again, this was a couple months ago that we played. It was one of those things where we read the rule book like the day before,
Yeah, yeah.
weren't ready to play, and then like the day that, or the night that we wanted to play, had to read the rule book again. So like we understood, it was like, oh, we're ready to play. But once you start playing, then you start to really learn what it's all about, and then you have to go back and be like, oh, right, I remember reading that, but I didn't understand it at the time. So there was some things to go back and forth, but for the for the most part, rather simple to understand.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've heard. Definitely no lack of beer games out there for sure. There's plenty of other ones to get to the table if that's your thing.
Yeah, but this was the newest one that we got, and I haven't
Yeah.
really talked about it yet, and I just wanted to throw some love.
I think there's already an expansion for this too, right?
Probably,
Yeah. I forget what I don't know. Last call. I could have been
maybe.
totally making that up. But it sounds real, right? April Fools. All
Yeah, 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 yeah.
right, what's
But yeah,
next?
only played that game once, so give me some time. Maybe I'll be able to talk about it a little bit better.
There you go.
What is next? Next is April 11th is National Pet Day.
Oh,
I got a bunch of
ooh.
games about cats and dogs because those are just some of the games that we are interested in, right?
Yeah.
You see a game out like that, and that's immediately going to pique my interest over something space themed or whatever. So one game that I did get recently I want to talk about is called Dog Lover. I think I got this
Hmm.
for my wife for Valentine's Day, and basically you have a grid of about 9 cards out in front of you, and you're going to play. You're going to take however many of them, depending on the polyomino shape of the card in front of you. Now,
Hmm.
in this picture, I know that people on the podcast can't see the picture, but in this picture, there's a card on the left that has basically just a three stack on top of each other. So that means that you can take 3 cards in a row or 3 cards in a column. But some of the other trick cards, which are where you're getting, the shape of what you can take, you can buy other cards. One of them might be, like a little corner piece or like one of those Z pieces or something like. And these are the cards that you'll be allowed to take. And you just keep playing until you get a bunch of cards, and then it's kind of like a set collection sort of thing.
Yeah, you're basically gathering stuff per dog, right? You're like rescuing dogs and then getting stuff for each dog, or
Right. You're getting a
feeding each
bunch of
dog.
dogs. You got to feed them so that you can collect, count them as a dog that you saved or whatever in the end
Right.
and have points. And there's a bunch of little things like that. It's a quick card game. It's maybe, I don't know, 40 minutes or so. I'd have to look on BGG to see if that was accurate. But for our 2-player games that we've played, rather quick game.
Yeah, you
And
taught
fun
this to
and
me. It was a
cute,
lot of
cute
fun.
artwork too. It's, cartoony and cute artwork.
Yeah, so there's a game that came out before this called Cat Lover, which I
Right.
believe is the same, at least the same artist. I don't know if it's the same designer or publisher, but
I
definitely the same
believe
art.
you are correct,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if it plays similar, if that's just like a cat version of this game. I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you have played Cat Lady
Or dog lover.
or Dog Lover. All right, what's next?
All right. Next is April 17th,
Oh,
which
there's the
has
big
not
one.
happened yet as when we recorded this, and that is Easter.
There you go.
Now, just tonight we were painting Easter eggs. So I still got some colored dye on my fingers and everything, but we were painting them with our 2.5-year-old daughter. We had a great time, and then my dog went over there and started sniffing around. Bad dog sometimes. But yeah, we love Easter. We do we go all out. I actually, so my daughter right now loves these toys called Cats vs Pickles, which are almost like Pokemon. There's just a whole bunch of different types, and we have these large Easter eggs, and they fit inside. So you get like a little. It's just a little like bean bag, and this
Hmm,
one's a cat in like a Superman cape. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. She loves them, and we're very excited to be able to hide a bunch of like these things with like toys and stuff
nice.
around for her. It's not just candy or coins. She's getting actual toys. And, next year it's going to be a little bit different because this year our son isn't really old enough to understand what's happening. So next year we'll have to make sure that, we kind of divide it evenly. But this
Yeah.
year, he's going to get he's going to find 6 eggs. She's going to find the other 60 because we've got too many eggs.
Do you ever forget and like find one later?
I write them down.
Oh, okay.
But when I was a kid, yes, that did happen. My parents found one like a month later, and they're like, "Oh, like it's an Easter egg." But yeah, it's we. I love Easter egg hunts. As a kid, that was and again, we did a video about Easter, right? So we already
Yeah.
talked about some of those games. I think we talked about Wingspan, which was a reach, but has those delicious looking eggs. Dixit because it has like little bunny meeples.
Hmm, hmm.
Um, what I don't even remember what else we talked about in that one.
Well, the welcome to Easter.
Right,
Well, it's not
right, right,
called
right.
Easter; it's spring, I think. But there's Easter eggs on the houses.
Yeah,
So
it's Easter eggs, so that's
yeah.
definitely. Um, I do have so two games. One of them, like I already talked about, Cottage Garden. We played the Easter Bunny expansion. It makes the game cooperative, and it includes this little Easter Bunny and this little Easter basket. You get a couple of them in the game, and you're playing together. And at the end of the game, you're going to add up the score. So in this game, you have orange cubes and blue cubes. Your orange cubes are going to score based on how many flower pots you have on your completed garden beds, and your blue cubes are going to score based on how many cloches, which are little glass things that you
Yes.
have in your finished garden beds, and they're going to give you points. So whoever has the most orange points, that's the score you're going to use. Whoever has the least points in orange, you're going to use that score. Whoever has the least points in blue, you're going to use that. You're going to take the two lowest scores, add them up, and then you look in the rule book and it says if you got 70 points, you did really good. If you got 80 points, you did great. So we got 68 points. Did we lose? I don't know.
Oh, so you
We
have no
didn't do
category?
really. There's no category. So we got
Man.
under the you did really good. It was fun. It was different. Obviously I like cooperative games, so I like playing this game better when I can play it with my wife.
Okay.
And the Easter baskets add something where if you can surround an Easter basket on all four sides by flower tiles, then you get 1 point at the end of the game. So after you add up the two lowest scores, you add however many points you've gotten from scoring Easter baskets throughout the game as a team. So it
Hmm.
could be like 12, could be 5, whatever.
It's interesting that an expansion changes the game that much. I mean, it's changing
Yeah.
the whole
It's
point of
such
the
a
game,
tiny
right?
expansion. This is a mini expansion or a micro expansion. I don't know the difference. This was part of an advent calendar. We didn't
Right.
get the advent calendar. We just got this one thing, and it's awesome. It's a little Easter bunny. It changes a game that we already liked. Like I said before, it's my favorite of the three, and it gives it an Easter theme. So now we're definitely going to play this every year around April,
Right.
and it makes it cooperative. So we might play this, during not April.
So going back to your score, overall, what's your feeling of games that have that as a benchmark? A lot of times that's a solo thing, but cooperative games have that as well sometimes.
I don't play a lot of solo games, but most of them are going to have some sort of limit you have to reach, which it seems kind of boring. But I don't have the solo experience to know whether or not that's something that I actually, out of all the solo games I played, I actually prefer that.
Mm.
But I don't like the fact that if you don't get 70 points, there's nothing.
Yeah,
It's not like,
that's weird.
if you get 55 or lower, you lose. If you get 70 or 70, you did really good. If you did 80, you did fantastic. Well, I got 68. How did we do?
Yeah, no, you got there has to be a You have to
There's
be
got
able
to
to
be some
find
sort of
yourself.
chart.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think so.
Probably not. All right. What else you got for Easter?
What else? So we also had this other game called Hoppy Floppy's Happy Hunt. Now this is a kids game, and it's basically you got this egg-shaped box and a bunch of colored carrots, and you spin this little wheel, and it'll tell you what color carrot to pick, and then you have to take this little bunny tongs and pick that carrot out of there, put it in your basket, and then the next person goes and they spin the wheel. And there's things on this wheel that are like steal a carrot from somebody else. And so I'm playing this with my 2.5-year-old daughter, and I spin it, and I got to steal her carrot, and she's like, "No, don't steal it, no, mommy." And I'm like, "No, mommy doesn't have any carrot. I'm stealing your carrot." She doesn't really like that so much, and at a certain point, she just wants to go in there and take the carrots and then spin the thing and not care where it goes and just take carrot. She's also not really able to use the bunny tongs. They're pretty strong. So she has to use these other play tongs that she has for her kitchen. And then take the colored carrot and put it in your basket. And then whoever gets all 4 colors in their basket first wins. It's a kid's game. It's got a bunny.
Right.
It's Easterish themed. It's an activity that my daughter likes. It's something different, right? It's not just First Orchard all the time. We got to introduce this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's cute, and it's Easter, so
Now, do you put this away for Easter, or does this just go on
we
your
just
shelf?
got this.
Oh, okay.
So probably not because it's not specific to Easter. And again, we only have I don't know, 7 or 8 games that we can actually play with her.
Right.
And this is one of them. So we'll be playing this in summer and winter and everything. This is just going to be in the rotation of kids games.
Got it. All right.
All right. Also, so another thing about Easter this year, Easter falls on April 17th, which happens to be National Haiku Poetry Day, which
Mhm.
I thought was cool. I wanted to talk about it. And when I did, Batista,
Yes. I had an amazing idea.
amazing.
So Eric and I both wrote a board game related haiku, and we're going to try to guess each other's name based on the haiku.
Right. Now we're going to do this at the end of the holidays. There's only 2 more holidays, so we might as well just bang them out quickly anyway, because I want to get to these haikus.
All right.
I think it's such a great idea. I think that we're going to do this from now on every episode. We're just gonna make a haiku about a game, and we're just gonna see if we can guess each other's, and then we're just gonna move on from there. So the last 2 holidays we want to bring up is April 22nd is Earth Day, which we did a video for last year.
Yes, we
So
did.
you can go check that out and get some recommendations for that. And then April 28th is National Superhero Day, which we did a video for last year. So you can go and check that out and get some ideas for that. All right, that's done. Let's get some haikus.
All right.
All right,
Who's
I'm going
going
to go
first?
first.
All right.
All right. So I think this is pretty easy, but here we go. Working together, limited information, females kicking ass.
Wonder Woman.
That's correct.
Yeah. Good job. Good job.
All right.
Working together. All right. That was
I,
good. All right.
I got to get this one. I got to get this. I'm going to have a scoreboard up here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Through all 4 seasons, record terrain and monsters. Colors are more fun.
Cartographers or cartographers' heroes.
There you go.
All right. Oh, I like this.
Success.
All right. I can't wait. I can't wait for next month.
There you go. Start. You might as well start writing them now and get a whole journal of them, so you got plenty to
I'm
pull
gonna.
from.
All right.
Awesome.
So our final little segment, we're going to talk about some games that are hot right now. So
Right.
couple games from the hotness list. Now, this is specific to Board Game Geek, right? The
Yeah.
Board Game Geek has the hotness list. We went on there. We found some games. Here's 3 of them we're going to talk about. Boom. Number 1. I don't remember. I got to see the slide. Is there a slide?
There's only one slide, so we can do that one first.
Okay. So, Dead Reckoning.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
we briefly touched on this during Kickstarter Day, and my
Mhm.
wife and I have since been able to play the game. I like it a lot. I think she does as well. Now, the reason that we like it is because there is a two-player cooperative version of the game.
Okay.
The first time we played, the head-to-head version, just, to kind of see what the actual game is. And there's a lot of, it's a pirate game. So there's a lot of, oh, well, if you go and get these cards and get a bunch of cannons, then, you can go and destroy other people's ship. Well, the other people is like my wife. We don't really like take that games, so that didn't really appeal to us. So at a certain point, like we're kind of avoiding certain things because it's not going to really affect our gameplay, if that makes sense, right? We're not going to rely heavily on boosting our cannon strength and our battle abilities because I'm not going to go and trying to attack her because that's just not really the kind of board gamers we are.
Mhm.
But in the cooperative version, you are both basically playing a solo game against a solo opponent. So on my turn, maybe I'm the green player and I'm playing against the yellow guy. Now Melissa can also come and attack the yellow guy, but on my turn, I control the yellow guy. You have like your little solo deck that you see what they're going to do, and then we basically add up points. My solo villain, which is they're called the Covenant, versus Melissa's solo villain, and you add up all the points that they've got from the area control cubes, which are put down on all the different islands, and then whoever has the most points between me and Melissa versus the two Covenant players wins. And we won. We won. I was going to say we won very easily. We didn't win easily, but we
Okay.
did win. Maybe by like a score of like 8 points or so. Somewhere around there, where it was like, it was close, not too close, but it was great. So this game, I did not say this. This was I have it written down. This is designed by John D. Clare, who also designed Mystic Vale. So before I
Mm,
go and start biting my tongue by saying, well, whoever made this game ripped off Mystic Vale because so Mystic Vale uses those clear cards.
right.
Right. So I actually didn't explain the game. This is a card drafting game with exploration and stuff like that. And you're going to go around. You're going to get these clear inserts that you can put into your cards and just make the same cards that you have. You're only going to have 12 cards, but you can make them better. And first time I saw that was in Mystic Vale. I thought it was awesome, and I was kind of
Mhm.
like, I wonder when a game's going to take this and really do it well. So when Dead Reckoning was on Kickstarter, it's a pirate game. I was really close. I don't know. It's $100, really expensive. I don't know if I'm going to get it. And then they were like two-player cooperative version. Boom.
Take my money.
Yes. So I like this game a lot. It is a bit of a setup. The rule book is okay. It does give you that feel that like there's so much stuff going on that they had, this thing, and then they had to go back and change that. And maybe they didn't change the wording on a certain rule after retroactively changing something else in the rule book. So certain things kind of seem like they're sort of open to interpretation. But like if you keep reading everything or check online, you eventually can sort of find all the answers.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a decent rule book. It's just there's a lot going on, so it's not going to be a simple read. If a
That's
rule
fair.
book takes me more than like half an hour to read, then it's not simple.
So
Games
you'll
games with
probably
a lot of rules are just tough. They're intimidating. What am I going to say?
yeah, no, for that's why you give it to your wife.
Yeah. No, not the games that when I back a big game, like I'm going to try and do that because otherwise it's like, hey, I just backed this game. It's got a 40-page rule book here. Like I'm gonna put in the work on something like that and do that real well. Dead Reckoning, man, it's a fun one. It's
So I'm
especially
assuming you'll continue to play this cooperatively when it's just you and Melissa, but if I was to play this game, you would play the regular way, right?
if you were to play this game with us, we would not have the two-player cooperative mode to play. We would have to play
Right.
every man for themselves, which would be fine. Like I don't mind. It's really the two-player games. When you're playing a two-player game and they take that, it's not as much fun. But in a three-player
Right.
game, like maybe you guys will team up on me, or me and my wife will team up on you, or me and you will team up. It doesn't matter. It's still going to be fun, unless you guys team up on me. Then it's not fun. But like, I don't feel like I'm avoiding getting certain things because I'm not going to do that. It's a 3-player game. We're going to be crossing paths a lot.
Right.
I'm going to make sure I got a lot of cannons.
As you should.
All right. So what's next on the hot list?
All right. So
Coming in
next
at
is
number,
one.
I don't know.
Well, it's the second one, so two, I guess.
Yeah, but is it
Um,
number 2 on the hot list, or does
oh
that
no, I
change
don't.
all
I
the
don't
time?
think. No, I didn't. I don't think I did it that way.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But when I saw this, I immediately thought of you for sure. So this is a roll and write about surviving on a desert island. I mean, these are two big boxes that checks off for you, right? This one's
Yeah, I
called
mean,
Island Alone.
I hadn't third. I hadn't heard of this game until you had talked about it the other day. And full disclosure, um, I technically had heard of this game, just didn't know what the title was because my wife has already backed this. So this
Ah,
game, it's already done. The Kickstarter's over. He's basically just waiting right now for something, and then he's going to send out like the PDF files to all the backers. So we should have this in a few days. Print it up, play it, check it out, and again, like you said, this is a survival game. This is a roll and write game, and I'm just looking at this map, and again, I know you can't see pictures if you're listening. It kind of has a Trails of Tucana vibe to it
yes,
if you've played that game at all. And I love that game. Now, not saying the gameplay is going to be the same, but I can't help but look at this map and not think, man, this looks really cool. This reminds me of another roll and write game that is really cool. And again, it's flipping right, not rolling right for Trails of
right.
Tucana. So I'm super excited for this. I'm glad my wife backed this. And we don't have to wait till next year for this game to come out. We gotta just wait for an email. So this one's gonna hit the table real soon.
And I can't wait for you to get it so that you can send me, or I can download it afterwards and we can play it over Zoom.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I thought the same exact thing as soon as I saw this picture too. Trails of Tucana for sure.
yeah. They
But
got.
just
I
because
mean,
it's hexes, I mean, it's hexagons on a map.
well, it looks
So
like they got some hexes. They got like some little crystals, and they got some dice, and it looks like maybe
mhm,
some coins over on a corner. I don't know about all
mhm,
that
mhm.
stuff, but I have all that stuff. I got extra dice. I got extra meeples. I got extra little crystals like that.
Yeah,
And
you're gonna
so,
upgrade this for
oh, we're gonna
sure.
we might even make a box for this game.
Nice. So that's Island Alone. Definitely want to check
Yeah.
that out.
Yep.
Lots of stuff we like in that one.
Hmm.
All right. So we got one more thing to talk about here for the hotness, and this is an interesting one that was really just announced. I think a few days prior to us recording this.
Yeah, this one. When you talked about this one, adding it to hot list, I thought this should be on the oldness, but there's a reason it's on the hot list right now.
That's right. So we're getting told that there's going to be a deluxe version of the classic Castles of Burgundy, which is definitely one of the most popular games. And it's interesting because the complaint about this game has been that it's not the best looking game. And so to hear this news that GameFound is going to be showing us this new version here, I mean, look at that. Look at that castle. Are you going to get that
Yeah,
castle in the game? How much is
like
this game going to
that
cost?
that looks like a 3D. That looks huge. That's got to be a lot smaller than it looks. But it. I don't even know what that's going to be used for. I wonder if you're going to put that on your map as one of the 4 home tiles or the one that you actually use to start off with. But a couple complaints I have about this game that I assume they're going to fix. Number one, a couple of the colored tiles look pretty similar to each other, like the
Yeah.
light green and like the yellow and the dark green. They can really do a good job to make sure they differentiate those. The second thing is that the setup of this game is kind of a pain. You have to make sure you get all these tokens for each color, put them all face down in a
Hmm.
certain area.
Hmm.
They could have just made bags. Just reach into this bag and pull one out. But even then, you're putting them out, and then you know what they are. So, like, some of the ones that are supposed to stay hidden, you'll know what they are when you pull them out. And I don't
Right.
know how they're going to fix that, but I don't enjoy the setup. That
For
being
sure.
said, we've had this game for a long time. This is maybe, I don't know, somewhere in like the first 20 games that we ever owned. It's got to be. and it's so boring looking. And it's just not the kind of game that I would even consider getting now. Right now that I own all these games, I can't just go out and buy whatever somebody else says is good. This game looks so boring, but it plays so well. Like I don't usually use the words like elegant and smooth to
Hmm.
describe a board game, but that's just what this is. You roll the dice, you do your thing, you take that, or you have a couple of good options, you pick one, and the next person goes.
Yeah,
And that it works really, really well.
it does. It's pretty cool. A really good engine building thing, and yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, the artwork is what it is. I'm sure it'll look better in this new edition. My other complaint is that I hope they make an easier reference player, like player aid kind of thing for those tiles, specifically like the yellow
Right.
knowledge ones and
Right.
the different buildings and things like that. Because a lot of those you have to look in the rule book for, which is kind of annoying.
Agreed.
Even if there was a one page on the back or something that had a very simple chart, I think it'd be a lot easier to do than flip around. But yeah, this is really cool. I don't know that I'll back it. I'm sure it's not going to be inexpensive by any means. But yeah, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I own the game. I'm not going to back it. This thing would have to blow my mind in order for me to back it, considering we already own a perfectly good copy of the game.
Yeah, I agree. But a lot of people are excited about this, and I'm sure it will do very, very well.
I mean, I'm excited about this. Just not going to get it.
So that's the hotness, folks. That's all we're going to talk about. There are plenty of other games on the hot list there if you take a look at Board Game Geek for sure. So maybe there's some that you've gotten to the table or others that you're looking forward to. Let us know either way. And Eric, we're getting pretty close to the end here of this inaugural podcast episode.
Pretty close, man. I thought we were at the end. I don't have any more haikus or nothing.
Oh, you didn't have a backup, Haiku?
No, no. I thought about
Oh.
it. Yeah.
Did you, let me ask you this. Did you originally, was your game the one that you started writing about? Did you change like direction?
I I pretty much wanted to choose a game that I knew you knew.
Right.
And so I thought I'll go with an easy one this time just because I don't know what I'm going to write for the haiku. And then, just you're very limited. You have what, 17 syllables in order
Yeah.
to describe something. So I picked the game and I was like, that should be easy. I can talk about this and this. That's, and that'll take up at least two of the sentences. So yeah, so I went with Wonder Woman and
A lot of counting on the fingers when you're writing the haikus.
yeah, yeah.
But good stuff. Yeah, that was fun for sure. We'll continue to do that, and maybe we'll add some other shenanigans to these shows as we go on. You never know, folks. Whether you are watching or listening to this, thank you either way. We do appreciate it, and we would love to hear from you. So if this is a YouTube watch for you, leave some comments and let us know if you have anything to say about any of the games we talked about. If this is the podcast format for you, then I don't know how you leave comments on that because I've never done that before.
Me
Let us
neither.
know in the comments how you comment. We'll be sure to fix that. All right. Anything else you want to add, Eric, before we sign off on episode 1?
Have a happy Easter and make sure you recycle for Earth Day.
There you go. And not just on Earth Day. You should do stuff for the
That's
Earth
true.
all the time.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Got it. The more you know.
Do, do,
All
do,
right,
do.
humans. We will see you next time. Bye bye.